Hello everybody, welcome to Mindset Training. My name is Mikey Martin. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for about 10 years now. Started several of my own companies and helped other people build theirs. And I've helped several people that I mentor to start their companies. And one of the biggest things that I've found out is that if you have a good mindset and a lot of mindset training, your business is going to take off. So that's what we're going to be going over today. We're going to go over your mindset when starting a business, and how having a good mindset will help you to actually create and grow a business very well. And if you have a bad mindset or a poor mindset, it's going to slow down your progress like crazy. So our goal today is that I'm going to take you guys through a basic crash course to try and give you guys a master plan so that you will know how to organize your mindset so that you can start your business and have great success. So starting off with the basics. With people, there are only two states, the way you feel, two states of being. There's positive and then there's negative. There are varying degrees of each of these, but overall, it's either a positive state or a negative state. And this is very, very important because a positive state could be expressed in words like joy, heaven, man, you just feel good. And when you're in a state that's positive, you're also more alert, you're more awake and present. When you're in a negative state, it's hell. It is rough, it is stressful, you feel like you're confused, and you end up ultimately kind of going to sleep mentally. You're not awake and alert and intent, you kind of just go on autopilot. And so our goal here today is we're gonna go over how to stay here, and if you are here, how to get out of it. So with these varying ones, let's do a little test. If I ask you guys a question and I say, man, what's something really hard that you're going through right now? Now, if I just give it a minute to think, what's something really hard that I'm dealing with right now? Pretty quickly, you're gonna feel a pretty negative emotion. You can feel that. You are now in a negative state. Now, if I were to ask you guys, what's something that you are so grateful for right now? Something that you're like, yes, if everything went wrong today, but I have this thing, I am so grateful that I have that. More often than not, you'll realize it's either a person or, something that somebody did for you, which is really cool because relationships are awesome. But right now, as you think about that thing, you can notice that you actually start to enter a positive state. So it's a very, very cool thing that we can now learn that we are able to shift our mentality, which affects how we feel, and then ultimately how we're gonna act. So what's the difference here? The big thing about switching from a negative to a positive state is this flow, where first you're gonna have a question. Now your question is gonna come from whatever dilemma that you have, whatever situation that you're in. Whenever something happens, let's say you lose your job, right? You lose your job, and if you're in a negative state, you're gonna begin to ask questions. Your questions are gonna sound something along the lines of, man, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna pay for rent? What are people gonna think about me? Why did I get fired when there's so many other people that I think should have gotten fired first? And all of these negative questions are now going to take you into a reaction, or we might call it your focus. It's going to create your focus. Your reaction, the way that you react to the situation and to those questions, is going to create your focus, which is either going to go negative or it's going to go positive. Now, if you're in a positive mindset and you get fired, the kind of questions that you're going to start to ask yourself are things along the lines of, wow, what am I going to do now? What's the next opportunity that I'm going to go after? Or, man, did I save myself a lot of time by getting out of this job now so that I could get into whatever I'm getting into next? Or is this the time that I finally step up into a new and better role? So depending on if you have a positive mindset or a negative mindset will determine what kind of questions you're going to ask yourself and how you will react to those questions. Now, the way that we react in the focus leads us into either, on the negative side, a disempowering state, or, and you can guess it, an empowering state. Now, when you're in an empowering state, this leads to action. This leads to big action, confidence. The way that most of you, I think, watching this are gonna say, I wanna live that way. I wanna live this way, because when I get fired from my job and I positively say, man, is this when I actually step up into my new role? Or maybe I'm finally gonna start that business. Maybe I'm finally gonna chase my passion. You know, all those positive thoughts are now going to make me feel good, and I'm gonna get busy because I'm going, I've got so much opportunity in front of me. If I were to have a negative mindset and I get fired and I'm asking questions like, how am I gonna pay for anything? Man, what if I never get a job again? Well, I'm going to react and I'm going to get into a disempowering state, and that is gonna lead to, you guessed it, all the negative reactions. You're gonna go on autopilot. You're gonna watch Netflix. You're gonna start overeating. All of your coping mechanisms are gonna come right to the surface because of how you just chose to react, because of what your mindset was. So the big question here is, okay, you're telling me I'm in a negative mindset. Well, how do I change that? How do I get to a positive mindset so that when something comes up, when some unforeseen something comes around in my life, then I'm gonna ask the right questions and I'm gonna react correctly, and then I'm going to get back to winning. Because starting a business, you are gonna run into so many unforeseen situations. You're gonna have a lot of things that you don't have the answers to. And it's very, very easy to go on autopilot, to automatically react negatively, and to start asking all the wrong questions. So actually, learning how to ask the right questions is the solution. It's the way that we get from a negative state to a positive state. And the way that I love to teach this is I like to point out that in math, right, if you have 4 and you minus 3, well, you get 1. Well, you're still left with 1. If you do 4 minus 4, it totally blocks it. It's the exact opposite. And so you're left with 0, right? It actually gets rid of the number. The reason I say that is because when you have a negative thought or a negative question pop into your mind, the way that you are actually going to switch to a positive one is you're going to go through the magic formula. And the magic formula is something I learned from a mentor of mine, but the questions you have to go through are, 1, why do I feel this way? You want to focus on your feeling because you want to recognize, am I in a disempowering state or an empowering state? Now, if you notice that you're in a negative, disempowering state, you need to ask yourself, why am I feeling this? And then you need to ask yourself, what questions am I asking myself? Because again, it's the questions that are going to lead you to feeling a certain way. So what questions am I asking myself that are making me feel negative? And then you have to ask yourself, what is the opposite of those questions? So it's, what's the opposite? Because if I say, man, how am I gonna pay for rent? It's, man, what new job am I gonna go get? Oh, man, how much more am I gonna make at my new job? Different questions, what's the opposite? And then how do you ask those as questions? So what is the opposite question? What is the opposite question? So you wanna ask the exact opposite of this. Because again, the thing is, if this is a 4 and you're minusing it with 4, well, now you've actually canceled it out. So whatever the question is that you're asking negatively, you need to ask the exact opposite question. Now, this is not easy at the beginning. At the beginning, it can actually feel a little fake. And the reason for that is that your brain is wired for survival. It's an amazing thing. It's really cool. But your brain thinks that you are in trouble, that you are going to die, and it's always going to go and ask these negative questions to say, hey, why shouldn't we do this? How can we protect ourselves? Because even though it's a really cool thing that your brain is built for survival, which, you know, that's why we survive for, you know, millennia, just forever. Humans have been around forever just surviving because our brains are wired for survival. Nowadays, it can be a detriment. And the reason for it is it will even continue to look for ways that you are going to be harmed even when you're in a safe area. So even though you aren't in danger, your brain, because it's its job, is going to look for danger, and it will have to give danger to any of those names. Oh man, starting a new business? Well, let's ask all the negative questions about it. Well, why would I think I can start a business? What if no one buys it? What if no one likes my videos? If you can actually refire and rewire your brain through intentionally asking the correct questions, over time, your brain begins to actually go, wait, this is probably an opportunity. This is something great. And it'll ask all the right questions. Man, in the past, I've done so great on other opportunities. Every time I leave a job, I get a new and better job. Oh man, I wonder what it'll be this time. And it's gonna begin to actually think positively. And it's gonna leave you in a more empowering state so that you can go chase your dreams and actually build your business. So, as a new business owner, let's run it through one quick thing. If you run into a situation where you say, man, someone didn't like my product or someone didn't buy my product, you're gonna immediately, as a newbie with a negative mindset, because again, remember, your negative is your default. You have to train it to think positively. As a newbie, you're gonna go, man, what if I never sell one? What if my whole business goes wrong and I just wasted all this time? The positive reaction that you should go to, that you can go to if you learn to ask the right questions, is things more along the lines of, wow, what can I learn from this? How can I make my product better so that the next time I sell all of them? Or maybe you even ask your customers, really good idea. Ask them, what could I do better so that this would be something that you would never pass up, something that you would definitely want to buy. And by getting that feedback and asking those correct questions, you are now going to learn and grow. Because you notice when you ask the first questions, man, what if nobody ever buys this? What if I'm just wasting my time? Your brain is now projecting a future that doesn't exist yet, but you're feeling those future emotions now. So you're imagining a future of it going poorly, and then you're feeling poor, and that's that disempowering state. And so then you're not gonna take action. You're gonna go on autopilot, you're gonna eat your Cheetos and watch your Netflix. But if you can learn, and this is where a lot of people talk about manifesting or visualizing, if you can see the future and say, it's gonna go so well, it only gets easier. I'm only gonna get better at selling this product. My product is only gonna get better. My business is only gonna get better. More people are gonna know about me. I'm gonna have more and more chances to sell this. In the future, it's gonna be so easy and it's gonna go so well. Well, then you're anxious and excited to get there, and you are now in an empowered state, and you're feeling all the feelings of that future thought. You thinking of it being easier later is gonna make you feel empowered now, and it'll get you into action. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. This is an amazing training. Great job on starting your first business, or maybe your second or third. This is an exciting time. This is the best thing that you can be doing for your life, guys. Entrepreneurship is a great journey that's gonna bring out the absolute best in you. It's tough, but with training your mindset and things like this, you can do so big, so amazing, such world-changing things.